There's this pocket watch. It's 112 years old. It's made from solid gold and weighs 1.75 pounds. It's made by a company called J. Player & Son of Coventry, England. It can chart the sunrise and sunset, the phases of the moon, the path of constellations, the signs of the zodiac, and track equinoxes, solstices, and the declination of the sun. And those are only some of its features. Just as impressive as all of that is its claimed history. Experts say the watch was made for J.P. Morgan. Yeah, that J.P. Morgan, the banking tycoon. Back in his day, Gilded Age titans commissioned pocket watches like this. They had a name, Super Complications.
It's an oversimplification, but you could compare these historical super complications as the iPhones of their time, except there's a number of differences, important differences. They were handmade, no two were alike. The watchmaker didn't have blueprints or computers to help them.
But here's the thing. The J-Player super complication hasn't been seen since the 1970s. It's one of the watch world's great mysteries. Today, the pocket watch would be worth millions of dollars. So, what happened to it? Ever since I learned of the J-Player, I've been obsessed with tracking it down. But by the time I started searching for it in 2020, one man had been looking for it for the better part of a decade. And with good reason, because Carl Player is the great-great-great-grandson of Joseph Player, founder of his namesake firm. And he's the great-great-grandson of J.W. Player, the man who made the masterpiece.
I really want to know what happened to it. I feel if I don't look into this and push it forward, it will be forgotten about forever. So I've been really rallying and pushing.
The pocket watch's last known owner was Jan Scala, a New York-based antiquarian who publicized the timepiece in a trade journal in 1974, boasting that he'd recently acquired it and explaining that it had been made for J.P. Morgan. But Scala died 25 years ago, leaving no trace of the timepiece. Finding the watch would mean so much, and not just to Carl Player. While they're anachronistic, pocket watches have a small but dedicated collector base. These are people who appreciate their precision and their connection to a simpler time. To them, pocket watches have a certain kind of magic.
There's a whole universe of functionality and relevance, and these things are interesting, they're beautiful, they're unique. There's a story to tell.
Super complications were obviously the apex of this continuum. They were extremely rare, they took years to make, and extremely expensive.
In the age of iPhones, people may not give too much thought to the business of telling time. And even if you own a watch, there's a decent chance it's powered by a battery. But the super complications of the early 20th century were mechanical wonders. Hundreds of parts, including gears, levers, and springs, work in concert to tell the time and power other functions. Think of them as analog computers.
All these magical complications that are all having to do with mechanics and gearing and designing levers that do these functions that may occur only certain hours, only certain days in a perpetual calendar, that it knows when it's a 30-day month and when it's a 31-day month, so you don't have to do a manual adjustment, that it's a four-year plan.
Carl Player appreciates the beauty and complexity of these watches. But above all, he wants to track down his ancestors' masterpiece. Finding it, he said, would prove to the world what the Players had accomplished.
If you go back to the 1900s, we were one of the biggest for watchmaking. But yeah, we're not very known for watches. People forget the history of watches in England. There's so many watch experts that they research Petit Philippe's super complication because that's the most famous of the all super complication watches. But my family's watch was made 25 years before that, and it only had a few less complications than that watch. So for a sole creator, it's a big achievement to be able to make a watch of that complication.
After months of reporting, I was able to uncover what happened to the pocket watch. A collector named Sam Bloomfield bought it from Scala in the mid-1970s. The price? $250,000, an exorbitant sum at the time. After Bloomfield died in 1979, his collection, including the J Player, was acquired by a rare watch dealer based in London, and that dealer soon sold the super complication to an undisclosed buyer, who still owns it today.
I didn't realise you would have found it. That's really shocked me. Now I'm glad it's still there, and it's not been. I really didn't want it to be lost or destroyed. So now that I know it's still in existence, yeah, extremely proud.
The J. Player & Son super complication made sense of the universe. It decoded the mysteries of the sun, moon, and stars. It charted the advance of existence. But it did something else, a feat that its creator probably never could have imagined. The pocket watch had, over the course of more than 100 years, bound a globe-spanning array of people, stretching from John Pierpont Morgan to Carl Player. Player said that he could live without knowing who owns the pocket watch, secure in the knowledge that his family's masterpiece is safe and treasured. That was enough.